So here we go. This is the Learn page. Hopefully all of you have already discovered Learn in Blackboard and been able to poke around and see what's up. I'm going to put it in student view. So that should be what you see, I hope. Okay, and so you have a bunch of stuff on the left side here on the main menu. Sometimes that menu hides. You know, if the menu goes away, this is something that drove me nuts the first few, actually the first 2 years I was using Learn. Whenever that main menu disappeared, I would log out and log back in for it to come back. But if you scroll up and down this bar on the left, you'll eventually see this little arrow. And if you click on it, the main menu comes back out again. Or if you want to hide it because you want a more screen for everything else, then that's fine too. All right, back to the task at hand, the UNM Learn interface. So we have a lot of stuff on the left side. We've got a course dashboard. If you have problems with, let me zoom in on this. I think I can zoom in. There we go. So you got a course dashboard. Okay, so you can look at that. You can create a support ticket if you have problems with Learn, like it's not working right, or you're trying to upload an assignment, doesn't function right. If you think it's a Learn issue and not your PC issue, you can create a support ticket. I do that once in a while when things aren't working right. They have a nice link on how to use Learn. So for those of you who are new to this platform, and there's probably several of you, you might want to go to how to use Learn. Right, and it'll give you tips on, you know, which buttons to push to upload an assignment and how to find things and that sort of stuff. This link's really useful, the University Libraries link. You can click on that and then you go to the library and you can look up papers, journal articles, all kinds of stuff is available through the library system virtually. And so I do a lot of my research stuff that way. I will go to the libraries and I'll search on topics, research topics, and then we're good to go. You know, and you can download full papers since you're students and use them for your own research or edification as well. Course information, it says read. So if you click on that, you will see all of this stuff. So your homework for this weekend is read all of this stuff. All right, it won't take you too long. We got a syllabus. I actually updated it, so you're ahead of my other class that I haven't updated yet. And it's got all the course information in there and about, you know, ADA accessibility stuff and COVID stuff and that sort of thing. We also have really good information at the UNM website about bringing back the pack and the COVID stuff. So please feel free to read all of that to get you oriented on what the expectations are. If you do come to campus, you got to wear a mask, okay? Everywhere, even outside. So, you know, we want to keep everyone safe. You may be asymptomatic and not think you have it, and you can give it to other people, and they may end up dying from it. So, you know, do it for the other folks, us old folks like me, right? We're more susceptible to it than young people. And you've all heard the news and all that, so I don't need to go into that too much. And then, you know, read all this stuff about the graders and kind of the philosophy, a little bit of my background. I'm not going to read it to you. And then there's some helpful hints to be successful. Communication is key. You know, if you're struggling with something, you know, feel free to contact me or the grader or the TAs. The grader is going to post his, I think he's posting his open office hours. If he hasn't yet, I will get him to do that before next week. Okay, so that's the section that's called Read Course Information. And then announcements, you've already seen these because whenever I write an announcement, I push it to your email. Okay, So the TAs are going to do that. The graders are going to do that down the road if they need to let you all know about some change. Maybe the TA can't make it to class one day or has to postpone something. And the same for me. If I cancel a lecture, I'll let you know through the announcements, okay? And I push it to you to UNM email. But what's nice to know is the announcements are all in Learn. So if in 2 weeks from now you want to look at the old announcement, instead of searching your email, you can just look. Course messages is great. I just clicked on it. No one sent me a message yet. Well, no, that's not true. Some people have sent me messages. I'm right now demo student. So demo student hasn't gotten any messages. Very simple to use. You can create a message. Okay, and then it pops up, hopefully. And everybody in the class is in the messaging system. So if you have a buddy, a study buddy, you can find them here. Now they have to look at their messages in Blackboard to see it. It won't, if you send a course message, it doesn't send it to UNM email. I believe you might be able to set up your course message personally so that it can forward it to you in another email system. So you can poke around and figure out how to do that. I have not done that myself, but other students have in the past. And you can find folks that are TAs and whatnot and graders. So if you scroll down, you can see Raul, since his last name begins with an A and a D, he's top of the list. So Raul comes up and it says teaching assistant. Okay, and then if you scroll all the way down, you can see Vincent Santino, and he's a teaching assistant. He's labeled that way. He's actually a grader. So if you have a grading question, you go to Vincent, you click on him, right? And then you push this little button here. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. This button, and it goes to recipients. And then if you want to copy me, I'm in here somewhere. Where am I? Plyle, that's me. I'm the instructor. Then I can get that message as well. Okay, or you can copy me on it, right? Usually it's better to copy. So if you make a mistake, you can pick someone and then put them back in if you click on the wrong person. All right, so typically, you know, if you send a message to the TA and or to the grader, you can copy me on it, so I'm in the loop. And if I want to follow up with the TA or grader, I can. And a lot of times if you copy the boss, right, you get a quicker response. Here's another option that might be better for you. If you want to set up external study groups outside of the class, or, you know, as part of the class, we have, and students have this as well, Microsoft Teams. So my Design 5 class is actually using Teams to manage their project. Okay, so if you want to, and you hook up with some other people to start study groups, you can use Microsoft Teams, and you can share, you know, information with each other through Teams. You can set up face-to-face meetings and use, what does Microsoft Teams use? They have some kind of meeting functionality as well. You can also use Zoom, right? You can use one of the other messaging things. Facebook has a messaging thing. WhatsApp has messaging things. You can use that. So whatever you guys decide as a study group works best for the group to communicate with each other. That's the way to do it. And then you can just virtually meet through Zoom or one of the other systems. So the group can decide how to do that. Later in the semester, you'll have a team project, and I'll set up a group and throw you in, or you'll throw yourselves in those groups for the project. And the only reason to do that is so that when you submit assignments, one person in the group will submit the assignment for the entire group, and they're tied together. You as a group are tied together with those assignments, those group assignments. Okay, and then you can also use it those project groups to communicate with each other within that system. So usually students pick something that they're familiar with that works well for them. Okay, you can use Blackboard groups if you want, or you can use external ones. But when it comes to turning in assignments for the group project, you'll use the group system within Blackboard. Okay, good questions. All right, let's see, where were we? We did course materials, or we did course messages. Now course materials. Course materials, you come to this thing, there's the SolidWorks information that's not working. So we're gonna get that fixed. And then the required text, if you click on that, it takes you to here, but okay, let me return to instructor view. So we were talking about course materials. If you click on it and then click on required texts, you will see, if you go to require text, you'll see your textbooks. So I've got 2 classes, so I've got 2 sets of textbooks. You should only see this one that says view course materials, and it says textbooks 2. Okay, and these are required titles, but you, like I said earlier, you can buy them in paper format if you want to, and it might save you a few bucks. Okay, but these aren't bad to have. So the Engineering Graphics Essentials by Christy Plattenberg is for the lecture course. The other one is for the lab, okay? And they do have some information that overlaps, so, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. All right, so if we click on Start Reading, I think you get it for free for a couple of weeks, and then you have to elect not to get it to avoid paying for it. So you have to opt out to avoid paying it, and it'll show up on your bursar's bill. So if you do decide to buy another version of the book from somewhere else, a paper version, save a few bucks maybe, that's okay, but make sure you get the right version, and also make sure you opt out. All right, so this is the screen, what it looks like when you do the electronic books. Some of you probably have already started looking at it. What's nice is you've got this little menu here. You can bookmark certain things if you want. You can actually do notes and highlights, so you can highlight sections, and then later when you click on Study Guide, it'll show you all the highlighted stuff. So you might want to highlight certain things and then come back to it later in the study guide. You know, maybe not, you may not need it for this class. This is pretty straightforward stuff. You can do flashcards, and you might want to play with that if that helps you learn. So that's not a bad deal. Oh, I'll get to the ILM. That's a good question, Joshua. As a dual credit student, do I need to do anything special with the textbooks? You know, I don't know. Supposedly APS covers all your costs. So the red shelf stuff should automatically be charged to a bursar's account. And I don't know if that's automatically transported to APS. So for those of you from La Cueva, I think there's 4 of you. Go ahead and reach out to your advisor, your counselor at your school that helped you get into this class, and ask that specific question. Tell them your books are on red shelf. Do you need to do anything to get that paid for? Okay. Okay. So, all right. So for the high school dual credit students, just send an email to your advisor, the person who got you into this class, and say, you know, Professor Plyle says we got 2 electronic books on red shelf. It's part of the Blackboard system, but I'm not sure, you know, who's going to pay for it or how that's done. And I don't want the subscription to magically disappear after 2 weeks, and then you don't have access to your book anymore. So you can ask that question, okay? Go ahead and set it up as if they're going to pay for it and all that. So anyway, this is an example of a book. You got a table of contents. You can click on that. It's really nice. Chapter 1. You can click on that. It takes you right to chapter 1. These chapters are short, and they have lots of worksheets and lots of examples and things like that. And I usually take exam questions out of the book and that sort of thing. So homework comes out of the book, and exam questions typically come out of the book, and they're the ones that I didn't assign for the most part. And they also come out of lecture. Okay, I'm trying to find some of the homework pages here. So this would be an example of one of the homeworks, multiple choice type thing. I might make some of those like an online quiz. So you would, answer these on paper maybe, and then go online and do the short quiz. It makes it easier for us to grade, right? So that's one example. So question and answer type of thing. And then you'll do some drawings and stuff later on. Yeah, chapter 1's pretty straightforward. Chapter 2, we start the orthographic projections. And that's when you'd start doing drawings, actual drawings, okay, by hand. So more on that to come. Anyway, that's the book. Go back to Learn. Now I'm going to press the little house button to go back home. I'm back to the main screen. All right, so we did course messages, we did course materials, and then there's the Zoom links. This is real important. It's too bad I didn't have time to do that last time. So this is all of the Zoom links. So you see we've got today's Zoom link. Most of you have figured this out. It's the same for lecture every time. Okay, so it's the same number. So you don't have to like get a new number every time. But you can just go here and click on it and join. Okay, and I go here and click on it and hit start. Okay, and then now Raul, or your TA, has got one for 5 o'clock today. So if you missed your other previously assigned lab, like if you were supposed to go yesterday, just go today, okay, and get caught up. We're still trying to figure things out, so that's fine. And if you're going to miss a lab, Monday lab, if you're going to miss Monday, he's going to do the same thing on Tuesday. And if you miss Wednesday, he does the same thing on Thursday. If you're going to miss one of those labs, you need to just shoot him an email or a course message and say, sorry, Raul, I had to miss, something came up, I'm going to come to the next one. And then he'll fix your attendance, right? Because we take attendance. Man, we got lots of people showing up late today. All right. But you can see here is, it says host Raul. I don't know what it looks like on your end if it says host Plyle and then host Raul. But you can tell which one is which, also by the time. So you can go to the correct lab. I hope everybody figured out what lab they're in. All right, let's see what we got here. For the textbook, can you use 28 instead of 2020? Things are going to be different. The homework assignments are going to be different for the SolidWorks stuff. They're going to look different. So I would suggest getting the most current one. But you can talk to your TA because he's familiar with all the books a little bit more than I am. So he might say, yeah, it's got everything, everything, all the assignments are the same, but I wouldn't count on it. So, because everything gets updated. Plus, the menu bars change a little bit from version to version and that sort of thing. I think your book is a year ahead on versioning than the software you're downloading. But that's okay. He said that was okay. All right. Good questions. All right, anyway, this is the Zoom thing. So you can go to the Zoom link and then find your time to meet and click on it and it'll launch right away. So for those of you who showed up late, maybe that was an issue. You weren't sure where to go to meet. So, this is like growing pains now. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, so that's Zoom links. We have a calendar feature. So if you click on the calendar, you'll see all the stuff when it's due. So right now, I think I've got, I just got the one class. I think, yeah, this is just the one class. So you can see what's due in the calendar. So you got a cover sheet due tonight, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think I'll be able to get through that lecture. And, or maybe it's due tomorrow night. I think Blue. Oh yeah, I got my other class in here. Let me get rid of them. All right, so for you guys, the cover sheet's due on Friday. And then the introduce yourself discussion board, try to get that done by Saturday. And on that one, you introduce yourself on the discussion board, and there's instructions on what's required for that. And then I want you to read at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other people. Read about them, and if somebody's of interest to you, you can respond to them a little bit, and then maybe start working on that networking thing and study groups and that sort of stuff. Okay. And then we have an ILM quiz. I think I might move that out because I don't think I'll have time to talk about it. So I'll just take that and make it due Tuesday night. Okay, so I can change due dates and stuff if we get behind in lecture. You can ask for an extension. I'm pretty flexible on that. So, and sometimes I'll say, do you need more time on this assignment? And usually half the people say yes, and I'll just move the due date, okay? Like I just did. And then chapter 1 is going to be due on the 31st. So we should be done with chapter 1 by then. And then lab 1 is due on the 30th, but Raul may move that depending on the software licensing issue, okay? All right, so that's the calendar function, which is pretty cool. And then lecture units. So I break everything up into units. I'm going to go back to student view on this one, so it's not so confusing. So you click on lectures, that's me, and lab, that's Raul. So whenever you do lab stuff, you go to the lab units, and when you do lecture stuff, you go to the lecture units. That's how we've split it up. Hopefully it makes sense to you. So right now there's 2 units open, and I'll open up new units as we go along. So there's an introduction to the course, right? And it looks like this to you guys. And this is the first page. It says just read the course information unit, which I just showed you, which is over here on the left side. Let me zoom in on it. You probably can't read this, especially if you're on your phone. All right, so so that's the first step. And then you can either toggle this switch here to go to the next place. Okay, so this is the introduction outline. And you can go to the next place. And then here are the lecture notes. So this was from last time, right? Tuesday, we did course introduction. And I actually put together the course or the lecture, cleaned it up a little bit, made it shorter, and put it on YouTube. So if you missed on Tuesday, you can click on this link here, and it'll take you to YouTube, and you can watch the lecture. Or if you slept on Tuesday and now you're awake, you can watch it. Okay. So that's I'm trying to make things easier for you. And then this is assignment expectations. This is the lecture I'm going to do in a couple of minutes. Okay, and then I have some help things here. Let me zoom in. So there's OneDrive info from UNM, and then there's this other link for the software products, the Office products. So you have a link to get the software if you're not familiar with it. So for freshmen and for people new to UNM and our system, we give you not only email with Microsoft Office or Microsoft Outlook 365, but with that you also get OneDrive, which is a cloud-based storage system, and I think you guys get a terabyte. So you can put everything you do while you're at UNM into that online cloud storage system, all kinds of files, whatever projects you work on, you can just keep them there. Suggest you learn how to organize your files so you can find stuff later. But it's really useful for you to get familiar with OneDrive, okay? So, and then of course you can download all the Microsoft products either for Mac or for Windows 10. And you can download Windows 10 as we just discussed. Then the next page in this first thing is the assignment. Your first assignment is create a cover page. Some of you already did this, I think. So I just wanted to go over this interface with you all. So when you hit an assignment, it tells you what the due date is here. And you can also look at the calendar. So it's in two places, okay? Typically things are due around 11 o'clock at night. This one is 11:59. Now, if I do that drag and move it to another date, Learn resets it to 11 o'clock. My graders don't ding you on things being 5 minutes late, but they will ding you on things like 8 hours late, okay? So try to get it in on time. It will be marked as late at 12 o'clock p.m., right, or a.m., I guess, on Friday if you don't have it done by then. And then they'll see the little late thing, and they'll see how late it is, and then they'll make a decision whether or not to dock you a few points, okay? We're trying to teach you to time manage and get things in on time and that sort of thing. All right. So you can also view the rubric. So this is always good to do. I try to put rubrics on all of the assignments, and it's basically for us to grade more consistently and to make sure we grade everything in the same way. But it's also for you as a student to know what we're going to be looking for. All right. So this is a very simple assignment. To get you used to the system. So you'll create this cover page, okay, and then you'll submit it. And what we're going to look for is that your name, the assignment name, the course date, everything's centered and large enough to see in a big enough font to be a good cover page. And I'll show you examples of that. And then a good headshot, a picture of you, and we'll talk about that. And then that you submitted both PDF and doc formats, and you did it on time and used the proper formatting for labeling the files. Okay, so that's what the expectation is. And then when I grade it or Vincent grades it, we click on whether or not you hit all the marks. So 95% of the students get 100% on this one because the rubric is very clear. And, you know, if you forget something, you know, we ding you on it and we give you feedback. And then you can also see comments on the returned assignments. So we will mark up what you may have missed. And there's lots of places to do that. So after we do a few assignments, and we'll go over that as well and how to read your feedback. All right, so we have a due date, we have a rubric, and then the other thing we have on the assignment oftentimes is some additional attachments. So we got our cover page Word doc version and our cover page PDF version. So if you click on it, it'll open up and you'll see the PDF version right in your browser. So this is kind of what we're looking for in a cover sheet, okay? And if you want the Word doc, you can click on that and then it'll download it. So you download it and you can edit it. So you can open it up in Word, hopefully, maybe. Yeah, there it is in Word. And then you can edit it and change it and put your own picture in there if you want. And some people are asking about fonts and stuff. So, you know, just make it look good, readable, right? You can pick a font you like. So that's the assignments, right? And then, of course, you can keep clicking through the unit. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. If you're not ready to turn it in, right, you're looking at the assignment. What do I got to do? You can just cancel out of it. Okay, so you don't have to submit something. So you can cancel out and move to the next step. And the next step in this case, in this unit, is get your act together. And there's some things that you should do by the next lecture, and then there's introduce yourself. Okay, so this click here, click to launch, takes you to the discussion board. And look, all of you guys have already submitted stuff. So that's really good. If you haven't started a thread yet to introduce yourself, please do so. And for those of you who have, now you can go back and start reading some of the other students' introductions and get to know them a little bit better. Okay, and you can start a conversation in the discussion group. I will grade this, so I will look at, did you include most of the information required? And I'll learn a little bit about you, and then see if you responded to a few other people. So to get the points, you got to hit all the marks, okay? And it's a low stakes thing. I'm real easy on it, but I just want you to get used to that interface and get to know a few other people. And then there's a My Grades button. I don't know what that does for you guys because I'm the instructor. So you can look at that. And we got a bunch of resources. So we got engineering links and student organizations. So for you newbies, we've got Society of Women Engineers. You don't have to be a woman to join them, okay? We got ASME, which is the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. So I'm a member of that. And ASME website, so you got a brochure and a website. CMM International is kind of an interesting magazine. It's for micro engineering, making small things. So that's kind of fun to read if you don't know much about micro machining and that sort of thing. That's a really cool magazine. MIT has some references for drawings that you might find interesting. And then Microengineering Solutions is another one. Here's a link to the student organizations. So let's see if this link still works. I haven't clicked on it since last semester. So the student organizations, there's a ton of them. There's a list right here. So if you're going to look for a student organization or see what's out there, they got everything. I mean, you can see from this list, you got addiction medicine interest group, Alpha Chi Omega, Alpha Phi Alpha, all of the alpha betas and all of that stuff. All sorts of things you can look at, and some of the groups are good about posting here and some aren't, but at least you can connect with them and ask about the group, and then get on their distribution list and then get their information. So there's a whole bunch of pages. So I would suggest, going through there. There's lots of engineering stuff. I think you can actually search on stuff. They don't have anything that says engineering for type, but you can put engineering. Search button, let's see what we get. Absolutely nothing. Oh, that's weird. Engineer. Society of Women Engineers. I know there's more. All right, but you get the idea. You can hunt around. I strongly recommend joining some professional and student engineering group. You get to know people, you get job things and that sort of stuff. All right. All right, I think I talked enough about that. Let's go ahead and go through the short lecture today. We'll zoom through that, no pun intended. Okay, assignment expectations. All right, so on your cover page, as I showed you earlier, you want your name, the assignment name, the course, the date, and a recognizable photo of yourself, a headshot, okay? You want to label your assignments in some manner like this. So the file name, something about the assignment. So it might say cover page, cover sheet, then your last name, then your first name, and it's a PDF or doc. We can accept both PDFs and docs. Typically, we prefer PDFs. And then you save your doc as a template. And so every time you turn in a new assignment, you just update your cover sheet and it goes really fast, okay? You want to avoid submitting the wrong file. So that's a common mistake, especially for first year engineering students. They'll work on a file They'll get it all set for submission. Then they'll go to Blackboard Learn. They'll go to the submit and then browse your computer for file, right? And you click on the wrong file. And the wrong one or the wrong version or the wrong version gets uploaded. So check the file, make sure you're submitting the right one. Make sure it's complete, has all of the answers to all of the questions in there. And then make sure it's in order. All the pages should be in order. You're going to do handwritten stuff, so you're going to scan those in and put them in your document and then create one document with all of the scanned pages in. Okay. So lots of scan apps out there. Some people have mentioned some other ones. Your phone's really good at taking pictures of documents. You just got to make sure the lighting's decent and you can get everything in the picture, and make sure whatever you submit is vertical. Okay, don't twist your work sideways in landscape view, because when we grade it, we see it sideways, and it's really hard to grade something and you're looking like this, right? So that's part of your file format and you know how good you did on just the logistics of turning stuff in. So you'll get dinged on that if it's sideways. You can rotate things in Word and in your final document. So make sure everything is legible up and down, because we look at it on the computer. We don't print it out and then look at it and we can flip it around. Okay. Yeah, somebody's giving some hints on using an iPhone. This is all good stuff. Please feel free to add, you know, tidbits on how to make life easier for everyone. You know, so Cam Scanner used to be a really good app, but now there's better ones. And so you can create a PDF from JPEGs and from PNGs. If you take a picture of a document or scan it in, you can take that image and put it into a Word doc. And then in the Word doc, you can crop it and size it properly. And then when you save it, it looks nice. Okay, so I got some examples of it. If you don't have a printer and a scanner at home, that's okay. You don't need one. You can do everything virtually on your laptop and your tablet, whatever you have, right? You can write things. You can use Notability or Evernote or something, and you can write your homework out electronically on a pad and save that. That's even easier than having to scan things in, but you can use paper and pencil too. Now for your sketches, I want you to use paper and pencil. Okay, the reason is with the software like Sketch things, it automatically makes your line straight and all of that, and that's cheating. I want you to learn how to draw, all right? So you'll be good with that. This is something I have in my home, and it works pretty good for scanning in multiple pages. And it also is a printer, and it uses a cartridge. Cartridges are cheap. They're cheaper than inkjets, and that sort of thing. So it can scan, it can print. It's about $100. The cartridges are about $50, but they last, man, years. I mean, you can do 3,000 to 6,000 pages, black and white, which is fine. But like I said, it's only $100, and it's amazing. You can get something for $100 that does all this stuff. And they have newer versions of it. Okay. And we already mentioned the Microsoft Office 365 stuff that UNM gives you for free. Okay, and you get a terabyte of cloud storage called OneDrive, and we mentioned that. So get used to that. So be able to access your OneDrive account. So play with that today and tomorrow, right? Be able to figure out how to share files through OneDrive. That'll make your life easier working with students, fellow students, or if you want to share something with a research associate or something like that. And then if you don't have Microsoft Office or you want to update it, you can do that through UNM for free. Okay, so be able to do that. We already showed that picture. This is an example of what not to do on a cover sheet, right? You can barely read it, small fonts. It was just the student name in Mechanical Engineering 160, not what we're looking for. Okay, so that's a bad example. Here's an example of someone who submitted one of the original homework assignments. This is an orthographic projection Crossword puzzle assignment, which you may get later. Oh, look, there are the answers. But the students submitted it as a doc.doc file. So the problem with when you get in the habit of doing that, it's kind of like a default. You overwrite older assignments, number one. Number two, I don't know who's doing this. You don't know which assignment it is. So if you submit a different doc file later for an assignment, or submit this one for a later assignment, it's going to be all hosed up, right? So wrong file name. That's number one on this example. And number two on this example is you could have done it better. You could have cropped it, right? Get rid of this stuff on the outside. Let me see. I can't zoom in, but all of this junk on the outside, you can get rid of that. And you can right click on any image in Word and use the crop feature. So remember that, crop, right click, crop. Okay, there's also no name on the paper. That actually is okay. That's why we have a cover sheet. Brilliant question. I'm glad you brought that up. So the cover sheet has your name and everything on it. Everything attached to that cover sheet in the same, it's all one document, remember. We'll have all the pages of the assignment without your name on it. And the reason I don't want you to put your name on it is because I might use your homework as an example. Okay, so I will show some turned in homework as examples, some really good examples, and then maybe an example where there's an error and it's common to a lot of students, you know, they made the same mistake. So we learn from our mistakes, but I don't want, you know, I don't want to attach any names or anything to that. So that's why we don't put names on the homework pages. We only put it on the cover sheet. Okay, so I hope that answers your point. And great you noticed that. Thank you for doing that. So anyway, here's that example again. So on the left was the original and on the right is the improved version. So you can see it's been cropped. All the important stuff is still in there. All the superfluous stuff. Like sometimes you take a picture of your homework and there's a coffee cup in the picture. Well, you crop that out. You know, I don't want to know that you're drinking coffee. Or a cat is sitting on your desk or something. And, you know, we want to just be able to grade your work, okay? So it's about being professional and high quality stuff. Some of the imaging things will straighten things out. So if it's a little trapezoidal, it'll correct for it and make it square, that sort of thing. So it just depends what app you're using or software. Okay, so this is a better scan. And I can read everything, so this kind of quality is acceptable. All right, submitting assignments. So make sure your assignment's completed. Make sure the pages are in order. Make sure your file name and format's correct. Submit the correct file to the correct assignment. So you may have multiple assignments open at any given time. So make sure when you do assignment A, you submit it to assignment A, okay? And you can verify it before and after you submit it. So once you submit the assignment, you can look at it and make sure it's the right file. And if you messed up, I usually give you two chances to submit, so you can submit the corrected one. This happens a lot in the first few assignments because students are still getting used to this system, but hopefully by the second or third assignment, there won't be those mistakes. And our graders and myself, we can see that you submitted twice. So what we'll do is jump to the second submission and grade that. Okay. So try to get it right the first time because it's easier for us. Sometimes we don't notice that second submission. We start grading the first one, then we realize half of it's gone. We give you a 50%. And then we go to the next page in our grading system. And then all of a sudden, that second one appears and we're like, ah, crumb, we got to regrade everything. Okay, so verify, verify, verify. Turn it in on time, correct file. Notice I say that several times. And turn in the PDF version. I think for the first one, cover sheet, I'm asking you to turn in both the PDF and doc versions so you can submit 2 files. So learn how to do that, okay? Pretty sure that's working. If it doesn't, let me know. Scan should be clear and sharp, 1 page per scan. So that means if you're doing a drawing and then you do another drawing and another drawing, don't put 4 drawings on 1 page because they're too small for us to grade. So if we can't grade it, we can't see it, it's wrong. We just assume you didn't do it right. Okay, so 1 drawing per page. Now we have drawings where you do a front, side, and top view. Those are all on 1 page, okay? You don't have to break those up. And there's reasons for that, and we'll get to that when we cover chapter 1, okay? Details, 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 right? Attention to details is critical. It's part of being an engineer. It's like if you type in 1.0 or 10.0 in a machine parameter set, it means 2 totally different things. So attention to detail is important, okay? And then we have specific instructions for every assignment, so read those. We put them there for a reason, and then it'll be easier for you to make sure you get everything done the way we want it done.